All right, that's going to do it for the testimony from this all-important witness for the state. Let's do this. Let's bring in my guest for this hour. Here to discuss, we have criminal defense attorney and former deputy district attorney John Day in Santa Fe, New Mexico, the land of enchantment. I know it well. Thanks for being with us today. What's your initial thoughts, since we haven't discussed it together yet, on this case and how the state of Washington has presented it thus far?
Right. Well, thanks for having me. I mean, this is a Shakespearean tragedy is what this is. And the prosecutors are laying it out, whether they're saying that directly or not. I mean, it's the story comes from Romeo and Juliet. Luckily, this time there's not a tragic death at the end, but there could have been. I mean, this is a case where you've got the allegation of the parents unhappy with the daughter, unhappy with the daughter's romantic situation. And this time we have video. I mean, the video from the cell phones that captured the moment of the assault, the fight that took place, the efforts of these kids to break up the attack, at least as we see from the video, from an adult male. I mean, it's pretty compelling. And the prosecutors are just laying this out. Right now, we're seeing the medical testimony. You know, nurses generally are looked upon favorably by jurors. They're medical experts who, you know, a juror sees every time they go to the doctor's office. So whenever a prosecutor is presenting medical testimony like this with a nurse who seems very compelling, it's just one of the puzzle pieces they've got to put together in this pretty tragic story.
Yeah, tragic, and I like your analogy there of Romeo and Juliet with the Capulets and Montesquieux, but instead of poison, we have allegations that the father was trying to choke his daughter to keep that love from being together. And you know what? We did hear from another expert today. We heard from Synovia Rivas, a forensic nurse examiner. Well, let's play a bit of her testimony and talk about it on the other side.
All the information that you received from Fatima was her subjective responses to your questions, correct?
It was her response to my questions.
Right. So like you said, you gave her a scale of 1 to 5, and she said 5 on how hard the pressure was, correct?
Yes, she reported in her words, and then I asked her on a scale of 1 to 5.
Okay. So the subjective scale of her saying 1 to 5. Her 5 might be different than my 5.
Correct.
Right. Okay. And she indicated to you that the length of time that the pressure was applied to her was about 5 minutes. Is that right?
Correct.
Really important here where the state is explaining the severity of the allegations of the crime and how close to death this 17-year-old was.
Right. They've got to lay the groundwork and the foundation for the second-degree murder charge. And it's not, you know, the defense is going to be, this was not an attempted murder. This was a fight. This was an effort by the father who was upset at the boyfriend. You know, they were supposed to apparently leave the country for Iraq. You know, we've had the testimony of Fatima, who said, essentially, I didn't want to go into an arranged marriage. Again, it gets back to this theme, you know, this ageless theme of a young woman who has a boyfriend, the parents are unhappy, but it doesn't always wind up in court in an attempted murder charge. So what we've seen is a very compelling case presented by the prosecutors piece by piece, not too dramatic, but overlying this whole thing is a lot of drama.
Great analysis from you, John Day. Thank you so much. You're going to be sticking with us all hour long. We do have to fit in a break, but right now, court is on a lunch break in Washington State. So in the meantime, when we come back, we're going to switch gears to Florida, where a man is facing either life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty for killing his in-laws and his wife, their dogs, his brother-in-law. You're not going to want to miss what we're going to show you next after the break. Still with us, criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor John Day joining us from Santa Fe, New Mexico. All right, so he pled guilty to all of these murders after he already murdered his wife. And then he also murders the dogs, kills them. But so we're in the sentencing phase, this phase where the jury must decide recommendation of life or life behind bars or the death penalty. Talk to me about how this penalty phase is different, but yet it still looks like a mini trial because the jury must still have all the evidence to decide with their recommendation.
Right, Matt. Well, the prosecutors have to convince the jury that there's no redeeming quality to this defendant. There's no mitigating factor that would mean that the defendant shouldn't face the death penalty. And if you're defending the case, it's a nearly impossible job, because the jury already knows that this person has successfully, if that's the right word, accomplished the killings of the mother of his 2 children, and then the 3 in-laws a year later, and then the 3 dogs at the same time. And so the prosecution is laying out a case that this person is purely evil, and there shouldn't be given any breaks because they have accomplished the murders of 4 humans and 3 dogs. And the word massacre applied to this case is certainly appropriate given the carnage that we're being told about.
You know, in short, we're approaching the top of the hour, but do you think that he's going to testify, give some sort of statement in allocution to try to save himself as a mitigating factor?
Boy, we don't know. And in the final analysis, it's going to be up to him. But what is there that he could say that could save him from the ultimate penalty? What is it that he could put in the minds of the jurors? There's a reason for him not to face the death penalty.
Yeah, you know, this jury must decide. And as I was mentioning earlier, they changed the law there in the state of Florida. 4 can still say that they don't want the death penalty, but it's only 8 now that can make that recommendation, not all 12. They don't have to be all decided on that. John Day, thank you so much for being with us on Court TV. Coming up next hour, I'm sticking with you. Don't go anywhere. More out of the state of Florida in day 2 of the in-law massacre sentencing for Shelby Neely. We'll be right back. You're watching Court TV.